I'm gonna get this intro right this time.
You can do it. I believe in you.
First try.
I don't.
I like it better when you don't.
Hey everyone, welcome to the 27th episode of the Luke Roxwold podcast. I'm your host, Luke Roxwold, and today I am here with Brent.
Hello.
Shayne.
I'm losing my voice.
Michael.
Hey.
And John.
Oh, I'm last this time.
Are you usually not last?
No.
Okay. I have no system.
That's why I said that.
I have
I
no
don't
system
really keep track of that.
of what
I keep
order
track
I
of
go
that. It
into.
shows me how much Luke loves me.
Oh.
So is it, if you're last, is that more or less?
That's less. That's way less. I'm way down.
What?
At
I feel
least-
like last is the best part because you get the and.
You're the grand
That's
finale.
like you want to be. That's like in a trailer for a movie. You want to be that last person and this person.
His name was John Cena.
His name was John Clapp.
As always, you can check us out on iTunes and SoundCloud, and not YouTube, because YouTube just doesn't matter anymore. Share this with your friends.
Mm-hmm.
Check us out on all the platforms and listen to us 5 times each episode. And give us a rating.
Also, too, make sure you subscribe to us on SoundCloud and iTunes. Therefore, you will not miss out on any future episodes. Click that follow button.
Oh,
Smash that follow button.
I just
Smash
Firmly grasp it.
it. Firmly grasp it in your
Firmly
hand.
grasp it.
Hold on. We just had an issue. I just lost the master recording. Hold on.
Is that what that noise was?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
I was trying to figure out who left. I was like, oh no. Who left?
Who left?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So check us out on all of the things. Follow us on all of the things, and enjoy the podcast. So let's get this thing started. So today we're talking about net neutrality, which apparently just came to an end.
Yep.
In more than one way
Well,
today.
Rest in
Not
peace.
came to an end. It's not over.
The topic, or the vote is over. Net neutrality is gonna be over.
The
So-
first vote is over.
Yes. Okay.
The war,
There's a
the
few
war, the war
things.
is not done.
Yes.
There's a few things that I wanted to say before we got too far into this. I am actually not majorly looking forward to this episode because I'm pretty skeptic about a lot of things in general, especially anything that is what I call pop politics. So things that just get everywhere. And this is something that I kind of consider to be pop politics because people get very passionate about it very quickly. And everyone seems to have the same opinion if they're in the same demographic. And I just tend to be a little wary about those sorts of things. Now, I do kind of understand that this is a little different than a lot of pop politics that tend to go on. However, there is a lot of people crying wolf with politics in general. Where anytime something goes wrong, everyone kind of loses their mind on both sides. And so now I'm kind of in this place where I'm really desensitized to that because I never know if something's actually a big deal or not. Now, I focus more on culture politics than I focus on policies and stuff like that. So this is something that I don't know a whole lot about. So that's part of the reason you guys are going to help me today. So what's going to happen today? I'm technically neutral. No pun intended, because net neutrality. I don't really know where my stance is on this. So the questions that I ask are going to be getting a discussion going, playing devil's advocate, and trying to get people to really think about and explain this whole conundrum. When I ask questions, they're not necessarily my opinions. They're just me trying to figure this out. I'm here to learn and help make people think. R.I.P. net neutrality. So, sound good?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. So, what's going on, everybody? Let's go.
Well,
Explain it
there's
to
no
me.
more internet.
And therefore, no
Well-
more porn.
Oh,
Well,
no more
The
internet.
end.
oh man. So ISPs can now decide what content you look at or use when it comes to an internet situation. So anything that requires Wi-Fi like a computer browser
Or data, yeah.
anything that goes on the net and pulls data
Mm-hmm.
can now be filtered however they decide.
So, what is net neutrality exactly? What's like a 2-sentence explanation of net neutrality?
I actually have a paragraph that says, what is net neutrality? It's not that long. I can read it.
Sounds like it will answer my question perfectly.
It will. All right. Net neutrality is the internet's guiding principle. It preserves our right to communicate freely online. Net neutrality means an internet that enables and protects free speech. It means that ISPs should provide us with open networks and shouldn't block or discriminate against any applications or content that ride over those networks. Basically, that's it.
Makes sense. Sounds
Basically,
like a very
like-
good thing off of that definition. Where'd the definition come from?
This comes from a Save the Internet. It is a I guess a group that was, trying to make people knowledgeable about net neutrality so they can, fight against it.
Or fight against them removing net neutrality?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's the weirdest thing about this is I feel like
There's
people
no
keep thinking-
opposite word.
Yeah, I know.
Like it's not like beware net
it's like,
biasness.
it's just-
beware the
it's-
removal of the net neutrality.
No, it's net neutrality, what you need to know now, so you can be informed of what's happening.
Right. So it definitely is a definition with a purpose.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'd be curious
it's
to hear what a definition is just outside of trying to.
Oh, what was the act net neutrality was officiated?
Yeah,
what was
I'm
the
not
kind of-
saying that it's biased, but it's it's literally in a group that's trying to make net neutrality sound as good as possible.
Well, I think
I don't think
what,
it's
what,
biased. That's what it is. It lets you, have freedom of your internet control. And now without it, it's, the providers have the control.
I think the
I
main
don't
thing
think it's
is
biased. I think it's accurate.
I think
I mean,
it's protection
it's fine
against,
if it is accurate. Or go
I
ahead,
think
Michael.
it's trying to say this. It's protection against privatization of the internet itself.
Yeah.
It's more government involvement in this case, but it protects people from corporations taking control.
Isn't it kind of the government holding control of the internet? But doesn't that
No.
make the government kind of a...
No, it doesn't.
Why?
The government can't decide anything about what goes through the internet. That's the whole point of net neutrality. That everything is open and you can do anything that requires internet. The government has nothing to do with anything other than saying ISPs can't block things.
Yeah, all they're
That's
saying
it.
is that you can't do bad things to it. Basically. So I heard this today. Let me know if this is true. I heard this from a YouTube video. So from what I understand, what I heard, there were no real really heavy laws on net neutrality before, and that's why it's open now. There was no federal law protecting
Yes.
us from stuff like this. And now they're like, oh snap! So now we got to figure out what's going on. And people are arguing that repealing net neutrality will encourage competition between ISPs, right? Internet service providers.
Right.
Mhm.
That's their argument.
Okay. Because I don't know. I guess to get this conversation rolling, I've been looking up a lot about it, and practically everything I found is against repealing net neutrality. And the only plausible reason for repealing it that I've heard is that it's it'll encourage competition between the big corporations.
But
Yeah.
that's
That was his
not
kind of
really
main point.
true based on the past at all.
Yeah. Plus, if it's the only real competitors, the three most richest competitors, it's not really fair. That's saying, now all baseball teams can play in the same league.
Yes.
Yeah,
The majority
Marshall
of
High
the-
School's baseball team and the Yankees.
The
Right.
majority of Americans only get one or two choices of ISPs. So if either of them decides to say, nah, you can't use Facebook anymore. They
Okay,
don't
so
really...
let's talk
Yeah,
about
well-
that, because that's something that I think is very key to a lot of this. I think the root problem to a lot of these things is that you have one or two internet service providers everywhere. I think that that's a
Yeah.
problem. And
It
I
is.
think that net neutrality is a way to try to fix that problem or bandage that problem. But the issue that the question that I have about it is there a way to actually fix the problem rather than making a law to counter what is
Net
already an issue?
neutrality does not stop growth of other ISPs. It has nothing to do with that. ISPs can pop up with net neutrality. They won't because other ISPs
Yeah, but
block
there are
that,
ISPs that have like they've worked out deals with the government to say like, hey, this city is our city now,
They did
and
that
no one else can
before
build here.
2015 when net
but I see
neutrality was
that is
instantiated.
the issue, or that is
But
one
net
of the
neutrality
issues.
has nothing to do with those deals.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that won't
because
change
that's
anything.
why
The way
I
they
don't. That's
deliver
why I don't
data.
care that much about it. Because
What?
I don't think that that's the root, or that I'm not sure that that is the root cause of the issue.
This
Now, I
has
might-
nothing
I'm-
to do with ISP monopolization.
Yeah, I think people should be talking about
They're
ISP
trying to use that.
monopolization.
That's
That's
true.
what I
We
think
should be
people
talking
should talk
about that. But that's not what they want because they want to control what the ISP control in the United States, Spectrum, Comcast, and Verizon, and whoever. They want to control their regions, and focusing on this and trying to ban this stops people from trying to focus on their monopolizations of their regions.
Because people
In
are
some part.
focusing on net neutrality.
Yes. But also they want to get rid of it because they want to charge people, most likely they want to charge people for more money to access certain websites. They already wanted to do it with Netflix. Because people didn't
Yeah.
want to use their streaming services, so they were throttling Netflix's data before 2015. When 2015 happened, when net neutrality was instantiated, they couldn't do that anymore. That's the main
Right.
reason they want to do this. They want to
Which
make
is fine,
people
and
use
like
their things.
I do agree with that. Like on a surface level, that I don't want internet service providers to like throttle certain websites. However, I know that a lot of companies in general will do things that I don't like, that a lot of people don't like, and then eventually because they do that, they go out of business. Now I
Indeed,
know it's difficult
it's
because it's
true.
difficult to establish a new ISP, but is there a way to make it less difficult? Because then that removes the problem.
That's true. And if it was less difficult, that would be excellent. But the fact is, several ISPs have tried to sue when other ones try to encroach on their business. Like when Google Fiber I forget what city it is. I'd have to look that up. But when Google Fiber tried to enter a city,
Hey, we actually have a Google guy now. Michael, do you want to look that up?
Yeah.
Google
Go ahead,
tried to
go ahead,
move
Brent.
into a city, and the ISP in the region had worked out a deal, and they sued because it was encroaching on their contract for another ISP. You're right. ISP monopolization is the biggest problem, but that's not. They're trying to play net neutrality into that as if it affects that, but that's not
Because
really.
I think that a lot of us.
AT&T sued Louisville
Where's
Yeah, there you go.
Louisville?
In Kentucky.
in
Okay.
Kentucky, yeah, over poll attachment rule. The judge says rule is valid. Basically,
Oh, so AT&T won.
Yeah, they did over this.
So a
Is
new
AT&T
company was getting ready to start, and then
Yes.
AT&T sued them, and then they.
Yep.
Yeah,
and
see,
they
like
couldn't do
now
it.
that's what bothers me. That kind of thing
Oh,
bothers
it
me.
bothers everybody, and they're trying to say
Yeah.
net neutrality stops that
don't think-
from not happening. It's crazy.
I don't think net neutrality stops that though.
They're
Net
trying to play
neutrality,
off that though.
net neutrality controls AT&T. It doesn't
but
help
net neutrality
those.
taking away net neutrality won't change that.
Won't change
No.
Like-
AT&T suing people.
That's like
No,
if
it won't.
like that's
It-
like
that
say
would
there
still
was different
happen.
like say there was
But-
different companies with different dams along the same river, and like then like there's a rule like hey you can't not give water to certain areas, and then they decide to take away that rule like okay now you can choose not to give water to certain areas now. It doesn't change like the laws. It doesn't change anything else besides letting them control how much water
They're
people get.
trying to confuse people by saying net neutrality is a part of that because a lot of people aren't informed. Like my parents didn't know what net neutrality was, so I explained it. They just thought it was some hip kids these days and
Yeah,
they're shit.
I didn't know what
That
it
new
was
Starbucks
until
drink?
John brought it up like a couple weeks ago.
And they're trying to play off that. And that's why they're trying to say, oh, this stops, new ISPs and stuff. Because people are like, oh, I don't know what it is. So I guess it's that. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. That's part of the problem.
Yeah, and I can. That's part of the reason I have a hard time with anything that is politics related, because there's always so much involved. Like so many people are always trying to kind of control what people hear and how they
Yeah.
hear it.
Right.
And
Of
so
course.
I never
You
know
want people
whenever
on your
someone's
side.
like it's the end of the world. I can never tell because like yeah, I bet someone really wants you
Is
to
it?
think that. So how do I
Well,
know?
I mean, it's not the end of the world. We'll be able to use the internet, but we might have to pay more for it, which really, or they might block out things
you
entirely,
might you
which
might
really
have to pay
sucks.
Exactly.
more if you
That's
want
what I'm
to
worried
use
about.
certain like content.
What I'm worried about is them hiding
But-
like information.
Yeah, that's
Like
all.
corporations
Yeah,
or
yeah,
the government
but-
could now hide things from people.
The extreme part of no net neutrality is like what they have in North Korea or China, where the government, because there is no net neutrality,
or not
they-
net
with no net neutrality.
Is there a negative or an anti?
I think it's called closed internet. I think
Yeah,
it's called
closed internet.
Really?
internet.
They
Yeah.
like
Can
North
you Google
Korea
that really
only
quick, Michael?
like North Korea can only access certain sites that their government allows. In that part, it is the government doing it, but they're not for net neutrality either.
Yeah.
There's no rules for that, so they
So
block
China-
it for the citizens.
Because I know China has a lot of rules about like what's allowed.
Yeah, they have a
and so-
huge. I think it's called the Great Firewall.
Let me see.
The Great
Wait,
Firewall.
So
I think so.
original. Such an original
The Great
name,
Firewall of
China.
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 Oh my god, I'm just
China.
such in awe of the brilliance of that name.
Which what countries have net neutrality and what countries don't?
All Western countries,
except for the U.S. now.
Yes, they all have rules specifying that. But a lot of other countries have a lot more ISP choice as well. Like Sweden, someone was talking about this. They had like 20 in their town to choose from, which is
Holy
way
crap.
different. Which is way different than what we have going on. Here.
So how did
Yeah.
Sweden get all those
It
ISPs?
was 5.
It's because there wasn't a monopolization like we have, so they were
Swedish
able.
people
They,
are nice.
So
and they
is-
probably didn't have contracts and stuff that
Sweden-
would block other ones. All
Also,
sorts of
Sweden's the
reasons,
size of
probably.
like one United State. Like
Yeah.
people
true.
compare America to Sweden all the time. It's way easier to do
Well-
things when the population is like less
well,
than the 50th.
Yeah.
Even if you take our smallest state doesn't have 20 to every town. Like even
No,
if you
but
take
that's
the same,
because the system is
region.
bigger though. Like it's
Well,
harder to get
I
something to happen
know.
in a system of 50
I
states.
just pulled it
yeah,
out
so
because
the,
I heard
the
about
population,
it.
the population
I'm not
of
like
Sweden,
arguing with you.
I know.
the population of the entire country of Sweden is the population of Los Angeles.
yeah, I
About.
know.
I'm just saying that's pretty insane. You know, it's like such a
it's
small
a lot
country.
of ISPs per capita. That's very
Yeah, yeah.
But,
I mean, it's
And they
a
all
lot.
suck.
true. But quite a lot of
Oh, do they
Western
suck?
countries.
I don't know.
But not America.
Probably.
Internet is a lot different in the UK as well. The mobile companies are working to be the cheapest for the most. Like Lauren has unlimited data. I think she pays like £10 a month,
Which is like what, $11 or
like
something like that.
$15,
Yeah.
and like unlimited everything, something like that. It's
Wow.
really really cheap. We don't have that. Our competition seems to get more expensive as it goes up.
I mean, it is getting better.
It is, it's true, but it like
yeah,
5,
our
10
phone-
years ago, man.
Why?
oh
Why
my
is it? I
God.
mean, do you think that has something to do with the size of our country that we have to do more coverage? Like the companies need to cover a
no.
lot more.
India has really good net neutrality rules, and they're pretty massive.
No, I'm
especially in
talking
terms of
about like
population.
pricing of mobile
Oh.
data. Does this
don't
affect
know.
mobile data? By the way,
It will, yes.
Yeah.
in what ways?
Verizon, Project Fi,
No,
any
no, I mean,
carrier
like,
can control
what-
what goes through their
So
data.
on Verizon, for example, which I have,
Mhm.
Verizon decides we don't like YouTube very much, so we want you to use our
Verizon
other,
Music.
No, no,
yeah,
no, no, no.
Verizon
Yeah.
Tube.
Or pay like $9.99 to watch YouTube videos.
So what happens when AT&T says, "Well, we give you YouTube for free"?
Then
Everyone
you
switches
yeah,
to
they
AT&T.
will switch to it.
That's the whole thing about encouraging competition.
The more outrageous things companies can do, I don't know.
I
there-
think
I do know that
Well-
like I don't want to turn everything into the DMV, where it's like you have no
Well,
choice. You can only
net
use this one
neutrality
thing.
doesn't stop
well,
or prevent any of this. It's just rules saying you can't throttle things. Basically, it doesn't affect anything else.
I'm saying that like when companies throttle things, doesn't that make people not want to use that company?
Yeah, but I mean,
And then that company
why give them a chance to even do that? That's the thing. Why do they need to be able to do that?
You want to know what I
That's-
think is interesting?
Sure.
Oh, you
No,
don't sound
we
very.
don't.
Yeah.
we don't
All right,
Go
care.
for it,
well-
John. Tell me more.
Okay. Well, okay. So you know how like it's a monopoly where the ISPs, certain are in certain area, like Comcast is in one area, Cox is in another area, Verizon's in another area. if they wanted to. One thing that they have an issue with is that they're having traffic from other ISPs coming through their network and accessing something on the other side. So they want to stop that too. So it's sort of like, is there going to be like a passport system?
Wait, I'm not following. Can you explain that a little bit more?
Okay, so internet, bunch of computers connected to by tubes.
Sorry, I was just thinking
series of tubes.
I was just thinking you like when you were like, okay, internet, like you hold your hand up like this is the internet, but like we can't see it because this is
the internet on drugs.
All right, Luke, this is the internet. John, I can't see what you're doing.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, go ahead.
But yeah, like so internet's just a bunch of computers connected to each other, and all the data is passing through infrastructure that was set up by different companies, and different companies don't want the other competitor companies using their infrastructure.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm saying is, what might be interesting is a passport system where you have to buy a passport to pass through the infrastructure of someone else's network.
Wait, you're saying that would be an issue with removing net neutrality?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if net neutrality stops that, but I just think that's interesting.
You're saying that's something that they could do, where it's like, if
certainly.
I see. You're saying in terms of competition, the larger companies could basically rent out their infrastructure.
Or they could block traffic coming from other competitor companies.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It can ruin
sort of like a roadblock.
Who built the cables and stuff that connect all the internet? All the infrastructure.
Each ISP.
Everything.
Everyone.
Yeah.
So just the company themselves.
Like if you're getting Verizon, they put in the lines to your house.
Yeah.
They put in the lines going down the road.
Spectrum put in the lines to my house.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And Cox, Comcast.
Yeah, and at some point
whatever.
there's a switch going from Verizon to Cox.
Yep.
That's so weird.
Who controls that switch?
The weird part about it is like
The gatekeeper.
How did
master?
How did these companies build these things in the first place? Did they just buy all the land that's underneath?
And that was probably contracts.
Construct it?
Put a bunch of cables in the ground.
Probably has to do with the government, government contracting with them, like sort of like how you were talking earlier.
It's such a weird situation because I do feel like if I made $100 million and then built all this infrastructure for some town to use the internet, and then all of a sudden someone was like, "Hey, you need to let everyone else use that for free," I'd be like, "Well, I bought it. Why do I have to share it?" So I get that aspect of some of this, but then it causes a problem because the internet, I think, is really important to the whole nation. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
But also, they get charged for the use of their equipment and make more money. So it kind of works out.
I think they do. I wish I knew more
fine
of the
with paying
laws.
for my internet. I just don't want to have to be like $9.99 to use YouTube and Twitch and
right. Which
Hulu.
I agree with. I don't want to do that. I don't think any of us want to do that.
And they can make us do that now.
Yeah, they can hide information that we need to have, or they could
I think
make it difficult to do normal things.
My skeptic side comes out because I'm just wondering.
They claim
everyone has a
do
theory
it.
about what they. Yeah, I know, and so
that's
horseshit. But
I mean, like, how do we know? There is a certain amount where you can, if you try to solve too many problems before they're problems, it makes more problems.
That's why I think that. That's why I'm not like fully like, oh yeah, like this was a bad idea. I mean, I do think it's kind of like whatever, but because I think it allows the providers more, I guess, ability to provide. I don't know if that makes sense, but what I mean is that like Comcast has already come out and said that they're not gonna change anything. Like this, like basically means nothing to them. Like nothing's really gonna change, and I think that people should probably, and like Luke said, until it's an actual problem, kind of have more of like a positive like mindset, because if if more people are against it, then if they don't have to change anything, they can keep the same structure. I mean, I'm not saying, I'm sure everyone's not probably going to do that 'cause that's just how people are.
I'm
but
hoping. I don't know how the whole.
I don't think it's going to be as catastrophic as people are making it seem.
Yeah, I don't know how the whole structure of all this works.
I don't agree with it.
Everyone,
but,
if everyone in America freaks out and starts raiding the cities because their internet is all slow because everyone has dial-up, something I think is going to happen. You know what I mean? Like, is this just set? Like, nope, no reverse. Doesn't matter if everyone in the city, everyone in the whole U.S. is going to nuke themselves because they're so miserable. Is that going to happen? Like,
I just don't understand why we even need to give them a chance about.
everyone should.
Yeah, that's what I don't get. Like, Luke, you're saying like I don't see why everyone's freaking out. Like, it's true. Like, I guess, but like, why would they make this rule at all? Like, why even talk about it?
Like, why get rid of it?
Like, because a neutral internet, it just sounds like the better option. Like, it's like free stuff is better than non-free stuff. That's like limiting your access to like nature or the road.
It's not like they're gonna lose money.
The dude didn't have a good reason for deciding this. Like,
who is this guy? What's his name?
Ajit Pai.
Some non-American.
Pai.
He used to work at Verizon. He was the CEO.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. My favorite company.
He's probably looking out for his friends.
I'm pretty sure there is pushback money involved.
I found an article that I was looking at earlier today that was pro net neutrality or pro removing it. And here's the thing: all I can say is like it made some good points. Like I said, I still don't know where I stand on all this, but honestly, like on face value, the things that everyone tells me. Here's the thing: if I just believed the things everyone told me, I probably wouldn't be a very smart person. I have to like figure out, okay, who's telling me this? What's the motivation of them telling me this?
I don't believe that.
There you go.
I'm just talking. Go ahead.
I just don't want to just say, oh, they're going to take my internet away. Okay,
well,
I'm going to vote. So I'm trying to kind of understand, well, who's doing what and why are there two sides? Because if it all made sense, why would there be a second side? And everyone always says, well, the other side's just, they're all crooks. And it's like, okay.
Well, the other side
makes
more money.
Really as simple as it is?
There's only one side. There isn't really two sides.
Well, then how does this pass?
From the general public, at least.
Yeah, there's pretty much no opposition from general public. It's only companies, and even
what
a lot
percentage?
Of companies are for
what percentage of people that outside of the people vote? Well, who voted this in then? Who won
the
3-2?
People.
It's not
some
Republicans.
Who's that?
Some Republicans.
It's not a public vote. It was an FCC internal vote.
So when all the people riot, what happens?
So
hopefully they change their mind. Like,
so in a poll by thehill.com, 83% of people voted they support keeping net neutrality rules. So like 17% of people, at least in this survey, want to repeal it, which is really low.
We don't live in a democracy at the moment.
That's like 1.5 out of 10 people.
It's a bipartisan thing too, because I know plenty of Republicans that are for net neutrality. It's not just a lot of liberal thing; it's a conservative thing too.
I think there are roots in people being kind of set to say I don't like the government because I don't think the government's very good at many things. I have a lot of friends work in. So just all I'm saying is like I have a lot of friends that work in government contracting, and the government will pay like $800 million for a tank. And it doesn't even work half the time. And it's like, they're so bad at contracting. And so I just wonder, like, okay, let's give the government more things to handle.
Military
and it's like,
funding
they can't do anything right, So I just, that's why when someone's like,
right, that's for sure.
Well, that's, I'm sure
it's funny because this is kind of like the opposite, like usually the best thing, the most American thing is like the most like opportunity for private growth. Like letting corporations own the internet is technically more like capitalistic than net neutrality, but it also makes it difficult for most people to capitalize on it, which is like the weird thing about it, because it's like, we get less control from the government, more control to the people, but the problem is most people can't control it. It's like three companies.
That's the thing.
I do understand the concept of it being like it costs you so much to start an ISP that no one's gonna do it. You know, so it's like if we just were like, all right, you can just go make your own ISP. It's like you have to build it. It's extremely expensive. Right. There's a lot of the one thing that I do know, there's a lot of government permits and restrictions that keep you from doing it. So I do see that is that an issue? Is that part of the problem? Is that there's too much restrictions?
Net neutrality, though.
Yeah, I know, but net neutrality is a band-aid for that.
It's not, though.
You know what I mean? Like, so well,
it doesn't have anything to do with
net
ISP
neutrality.
growth.
No, net neutrality is keeping big ISPs that are in power in check. That's what it does. And so I'm saying if we could get 50 ISPs to all put the bad ones out of business, we wouldn't need net neutrality because we would choose the best one, and the ones that screwed us over, we would just dump.
Would be true if, like you said, ISPs are really expensive.
But maybe that's kind of one of the issues where it's like that might not be possible.
And
so I get that
contracting
side of it.
I mean, yes, eventually this would lead us to net neutrality without rules, but that will take a very, very long time.
That is one thing, that one side of it that I can see, that perhaps net neutrality is the band-aid that we need until ISPs are able to sprout up quickly. You know, it's like, well, we need this now until we don't need it anymore.
I trust people less than I trust the government, and I don't trust the government that much. So I mean,
wait, so if we give the corporations more like power to like price how fast your internet is, or whatever, how does that even make it really more competitive?
Well,
like it kind of
if ISPs
does if you like
show up, it would be, yes, but I mean.
Basically, if it was easy it's really easy to make a website, relatively. And look at how many websites are out there. So if you don't like a website, you don't go to the website.
Yeah.
If you like another website,
you have ad block turned on. Please turn it off.
You have
yeah, really. Okay, goodbye, Forbes. You know. But so like, Facebook exists because it's really easy to make a website, and eventually someone came up with a good way to make a good site. Or YouTube. Let's use YouTube because YouTube's better than Facebook. But like, so YouTube exists. I think overall YouTube's a better website than Facebook.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
So YouTube exists because hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people made video sites, and eventually YouTube was the best one, so everyone uses it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So the reason YouTube
Daily
exists,
Motion forever.
Vimeo.
That's right, Vimeo, man. Let me just put up my
Nico
hipster glasses.
Doga.
Anytime any of my film people that I know, film people that just put their videos on Vimeo, it's like, go home. Nobody watches your videos on Vimeo. You don't get any traffic there. So, but people use the best one because it's very easy to make new sites, and people can sprout up, and companies can start, and all that.
Yeah.
But with ISPs, you can't just make an ISP. Right, you can't just like go in and go, I'm just gonna make a new one and try this out and see if it works and see if people like it, because it's super expensive. You know,
yeah, I get that. But it sounds like with like closed internet, the only way that you're better than other people is if you just throttle your internet less. So basically, whoever's just not throttling internet would be the best provider, right? Because you want the fastest internet. So if right now they just offer the fastest internet, that's how they be competitive.
Yes, I'm not following. I'm sorry, I'm not following what you're saying though.
I'm saying like I don't see how closed internet makes it so they can be more competitive. It doesn't really change anything. It does is make it like, so you can make it worse, and I'll just not make anything worse, and I'll be better than you already. Well, it's kind of like if Walmart started to stop selling oranges, and then like
it's kind of like
Target
saying
still sold oranges.
So if it was mathematical in the way I'm seeing it is, A is broken. So B is broken because of A. So let's fix B by making C, instead of saying, okay, well, why don't we just fix A?
Mm-hmm.
Where I'm being open-minded about this is I don't know if you can fix A. A would be the problem is there's not very many ISPs. It's really difficult to make ISPs. That's the problem.
Best way to fix
B is net neutrality, which is to try and, okay, well, we can't make a bunch of ISPs, so let's keep the ISPs that are in charge in check. And then, just say like, okay, well, we want C, we want a bunch of competition, so let's keep net neutrality. And some people are saying, no, get rid of net neutrality, go back to A and fix A, which I don't know if that's true or not, if that would actually work.
It would eventually work, but you'd have to fix you'd have to make it so ISPs could not hold their monopoly the way they do,
Right.
and try to sue people and try to block people out. Eventually, that would lead to net neutrality on its own, but
Yeah.
we have to fix that, and I really don't think that's going to happen with the way the money's involved. So we have to force the check with net neutrality because there's nothing else. Like, you can't. B is a Band-Aid, but B is the only thing we have right now.
Right. Which the way I see it is like, the way I'm okay with a lot of this stuff is saying, A is the problem. We're going to use B for a while until we can get more ISPs, and then we're going to get rid of B. However, that's kind of unfair because a lot of, well, I can't decide how I feel about that, because a lot of companies would have to deal with net neutrality, and then all of a sudden a bunch of companies don't have to deal with it. You know, they just show up at the right time. But I think that's
I can't
probably
see how
true.
closed internet is good at all.
I mean, I agree with
really
that
see
too.
it.
I don't really
Doesn't
know
really
either.
make any sense.
I don't know what the point
Like,
is.
literally the only way that they can change anything is by not offering something. That makes things worse. So, I don't know.
The
doesn't
one
make sense.
thing I would think about is there a way that closed internet, anti-net neutrality, is there a way that it streamlines the problem into fixing itself?
It might.
That's the logic people tend to have, where it's like,
That
well, this is going to suck for a little while, but it's all going to make things fixed more because there's going to be more of a need now. That's the logic.
I don't know I don't know, man.
I
I
don't,
don't,
either.
I don't think
trust
so, man.
people.
I don't. Because
I really don't think it's gonna.
Because
be
all
there.
all that could change is people would stop using certain providers, but we can stop that without repealing net neutrality.
Yes,
Mhm.
but that's still really hard because they're still allowed to sue and shit. If we could stop them from doing that, then this would be
What
a
if
lot
we
faster.
what if we did that?
Just
If
don't
we
renew your
said,
contract.
okay,
Wait till your
What if we-
contract ends.
no, he's talking about suing other ISP.
Yeah,
up
like
and coming
blocking
ISPs.
growth into an area because everyone needs to use Comcast here in Louisville.
Yeah,
or
and
whatever,
that
AT&T,
I'm
whatever.
really against.
Yeah, but
I'm
net,
really
net
against
neutrality doesn't change anything with that.
I know,
that. But if
but
you
I
get
see what
rid,
he's saying.
the process is, Michael, that you
Suck
get
ass though.
you get rid of net neutrality, and then you get rid of all these laws, and then it's kind of like a stepping stone.
If we got rid of those
I don't
laws
see
and
how it
shit,
is a
this
stepping
would be
stone, but-
that I would be less concerned because
Right.
then growth could happen, but they can't right now. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If they
Yeah,
do something
if-
different, if they do something different than what they're doing now, then yeah, I can see how it's a good idea.
Yeah, if growth
a
was
different idea.
available, this would be so bad because it would eventually fix itself pretty fast.
Right.
Because people would be
So
like,
Luke,
"Fuck
Luke is
this."
saying,
If it was
Luke is
easy
saying
to
that
make an ISP, this wouldn't be a problem.
yeah,
basically you're
exactly.
saying if this was a different idea, it'd be a good idea.
Yeah, I now I
So I get what you're saying. Totally, that
yeah
makes sense.
I don't, because like I said, I don't exactly have a strong opinion about this. I'm just very skeptical about everyone's strong opinion about it. And so
in
I
this
think,
case, I think it's for good reason, honestly.
right, it does make a lot of sense to me. I haven't found anything that I majorly disagree with. I just have not chosen a side, really, because I'm not really informed on it.
Well, that's what we're doing right now.
You should
Heck
have
yeah.
researched during the week, like we all agreed to do.
I knew
I mean, I
any
did a
research.
little bit.
True.
I'm
No,
informed.
the thing. Oh wow, my voice.
Yeah, you sound terrible.
I know. The thing.
Sorry.
The thing that bothers me the most, I think, about this, because I was reading an article from the New York Times, is that they said it's probably mostly going to affect like new startup businesses that say like just for like the YouTube example, say like some random person from like Alabama. I don't know. I'm not going to use Alabama. That's a terrible state at the moment. Say it's a random person from Texas, wants to like start a video sharing whatever, and say they start getting a little bit popular, like people like how they can upload their content and how like they can market it and whatnot, and say YouTube has like a partnership or whatever with like Verizon, and this new video sharing site uses Verizon as their IPS, and YouTube's like, oh no, they're getting too popular, they can tell Verizon, no, shut them down, basically. And that's what which is what I don't like.
Yeah, I don't think anybody likes that. Like
Yeah,
the thing
you're
is,
not giving people a chance.
Yeah, I see the issues with it. I just wonder. I think the most people that see the issues, if anyone is anti-net neutrality, it's because they think that these issues that we all know are issues are going to go away by getting rid of net neutrality. Like they'll work themselves out, kind of like the free market.
Yeah, I think there's
I don't
pros
know
and
if I
cons.
believe that or not, because
I don't believe it because people suck.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Well,
People are
yes.
evil.
it's. I don't know why. I can't decide how I feel about it.
Pure capitalism.
people
Use your
being
feelings,
garbage.
Luke.
Well, I'm
Pure-
trying to I'm trying to figure out what makes it different. What is different about this? And I'm not sure.
I mean, I
'Cause
don't
usually,
think you really have
I'm
to
pretty
choose a side.
I'm pretty pro free market capitalism on a lot of things. Like I think that people should just compete and then it'll figure it out. But I'm trying to figure out what makes this different.
So, I think people suck too much that socialist capitalism is the best way to go. Because we need rules to keep people in place because people are greedy assholes. And if the world was a perfect place, this would work itself out pretty fast. But it's not. It's not going to. Because they want more money and they're not going to be like, nah, that's okay.
I'm trying to think of it. If I compared this
Luke,
to...
Luke.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, just a really quick little note. I don't know if anyone said this earlier in like the conversation, but the vote was decided by 5 people.
Yeah.
Ugh,
But
God.
but
Five people
to be
decide
fair,
the fate of an entire
but to be
nation.
fair,
Yes,
we
I don't
are
understand.
America is a republic and we elected them. Or
Yeah.
some, as people we
No,
elected
I don't
the officials.
think
We did
FCC
not
got
elect
elected that way.
No,
I
think-
yeah.
Yeah.
They're
Really?
elected by government officials that we elect them, and
Yeah,
they
that's what I
picked it.
mean. That's so we technically
Well, we didn't-
daisy chained
Trickle
it.
down elections, man.
Now I don't know if I agree with it. I'm just saying that that's the rules.
Hey, guess what? They're
Trickle
appointed by
down
the president of the
economics
United
totally
States.
works. Look how well it's doing.
So we,
I mean, like,
we voted
if
for
we-
Trump, and he appointed them.
I didn't fucking vote for him.
I
Did we
didn't,
vote
but
for
the country did.
Trump?
But the country
I'm
did.
just I'm just
he
saying.
didn't win the popular vote.
Oh
He
my
won
God.
because farmers.
Well, what I'm saying is
Look,
they're
he
appointed,
won.
they're appointed by the president,
Ugh.
so like they
We're not
reflect
talking
maybe
about any
half
of this,
of
you
the
guys.
population.
I'll talk whatever I want. You're not my dad.
I'm saying that.
You're
I'm
not my real
saying-
ladder.
You're not my real step ladder. I'm saying that like using the like, well, we didn't elect the FCC people. It's like we as a country sort of did in a way by the rules of the country. It's not like they just showed up and were like, we're gonna take over. We elected the country elected people
Yeah, they're part
that
of the
elected
system.
the FCC. So it's not like this is illegal. For
No,
a
it's
lot of
not.
us, considering that a lot of us are disagreeing with their decision, we're kind of saying, hey, we're not going to elect the same people anymore because we don't like what they're doing to the country. You know?
You should see his video about how to be totally fine.
Oh no!
Oh,
Don't
yeah,
watch it.
he's
Don't
like,
yeah,
don't watch
man.
that video.
I just
Don't
read
watch
like a
that
little headline about
It's
it.
fucking rough.
Oh.
He uses a dead meme, and it's just like, oh, dude.
He's try hard.
I saw
If he didn't want people to hate him anymore, he shouldn't have made that video.
Wait, who made the
Definitely-
video?
He definitely doesn't
Ajit
know about the
Pai.
internet because he made that
Dude.
video.
It's just, it's oh boy.
It's
The
pretty.
dude,
It's
the
really
Yeah.
bad.
My friend
Wow.
sent it to me earlier.
Did you not see it?
No, I did not see it.
Sean, no.
Oh man.
It's
I don't
so
know if I want
horrible.
to.
Don't watch it.
Don't
I'm
waste
looking
your
I wanna
time.
see it now.
Like,
Oh
don't waste your time.
no! All right,
Whoa,
Brent just
what
shared
is
it.
this?
Do you have a Nerf gun?
Like, don't even give the guy like the credit. To even
If I play
watch
this,
his
can you guys hear this?
stupid
Will
video.
this record?
Don't play the sound though. I don't know if it's.
Play it later.
He might be copyrighted.
Oh, he's got a fidget spinner in the first.
Yeah.
I'll turn the sound off.
Jesse,
As
don't
well.
even give the dude the
Oh,
time
I
of
got
day.
a fidget spinner.
Have you
This is
seen
such a
that?
horrible video.
Never mind. I'm not gonna-
There's nothing worse than
You
dead
still
memes.
Instagram your food, guys. It's
There was
fine.
a
I wonder
wedding.
how his wife thinks
There
about
was-
this.
There was a Wendy's commercial, and they're like, I'm eating this Wendy's cheeseburger. He looks at the camera and goes, like a boss. I wanted
Oh.
to kill
Oh.
myself.
Did he have like a vanilla frosty like a fucking freak?
Probably did.
I'm gonna die.
He probably did. Chocolate frosties all the way.
Ajit
guys
Pai
wanna
drinks vanilla frosties.
You gotta go back a few podcast episodes.
That's right. There is a
FCC
war between chocolate and vanilla frosties on this
FCC president drinks vanilla pie.
podcast. Vanilla pie.
I mean, you know what I mean.
October 20th.
Vanilla
I don't know
frosty.
where
October
pie came
20th, we'll
from.
find
That
it.
was weird.
Yeah, I don't know either.
That was fucking weird. I guess
Yeah,
I
so
want pie.
regardless of whether or not you're for or against net neutrality, this video is horrible.
They photoshopped a purple lightsaber onto Anakin's hilt.
Yes.
Idiot. His lightsaber is blue, and then he gets a new one.
Everyone
That's
knows that.
Everyone does.
Mm.
There's a Nerf gun in the background.
So what happens now? I mean, I guess they voted.
Now we see.
Well,
Is there-
they said it won't. Nothing will
I mean,
change.
look
for
what
like
happened.
A few
Look what
weeks.
happened with Brexit. Didn't Brexit happen and then nothing happened?
No, Brexit hasn't fully come into. The 2 years
Well-
have not passed before they had to leave. They're still working out
Honestly-
deals with the European Union. The
Honestly-
resident European expert.
I know. I am curious about that, but what were you
Like,
saying?
talk about
We're,
that.
Shayne?
we're talking about all of this, and honestly, they said nothing's really going to change for a few weeks. And with all of the people like suing or trying to like repeal and all like this stuff, it might not even like they could like just change the whole thing and like nothing might happen. So this conversation might be a waste of time. But
That's also true.
Oh.
but it's just like so no one really knows what's going to happen. Nothing might, like I said, nothing might change like at all. Like people might just be like, you know what, we're just not going to do anything different.
That would be
Yeah.
interesting.
I can talk about what I know about Brexit.
Before we can get into Brexit in a second, since I'm honestly, like I said at the beginning, I really just don't know where I stand on this, but I just want to hear all the sides of it. And
Shayne's right. Nothing might come to pass. We might
I
get it back.
I stand in the middle. I don't think it's like the worst thing in the world. If I try to think positive about like people. I know Brent thinks they're all stupid, which I agree. Most people are pretty
I'm
stupid.
very negative, so
But like I don't know.
I
Shayne?
think people. Oh, go ahead, Michael. What were you gonna
I was just gonna say, Shayne, I'm like you. I'm an optimist, but I'm always disappointed. So now I'm like,
Yeah,
that.
no. I mean, I don't think
say?
it's an optimist is always
that like
disappointed.
cancels out. It's like I'm an optimist, but I'm disappointed all the time.
No.
I'm always
'cause
disappointed.
That is a
it's
very
gonna be like
pessimistic
that. It never
way
is.
of looking at optimism.
I don't
I
think
have no expectations,
I don't agree.
but I'm still disappointed.
I'm
mean,
like a
basically.
parent. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
Look,
Disappointed in
as
you,
long
America.
as I can go to all of my websites that I need to go to in a quick manner, I don't really care.
Pornhub.
But maybe you can't.
See, I'm worried about like if it'll affect my job.
Oh, never mind. I probably shouldn't say that.
Okay. I feel like that's happened 3 times in this podcast. We're like, oh, no,
Well,
no.
I was gonna mention something about. Never mind.
So yeah, net neutrality, guys.
I'm not trying to
Yay!
discredit my character in the podcast.
I was going to say something about.
Well, now we all know you're a bad person.
Too late.
Joke's on you. I've always been a bad person.
That's my secret. I'm always evil.
Chaotic
Shoot,
neutral.
I forgot what I was going to say before I let Michael talk.
Must
See,
have been
Michael,
important.
this
Dang
is
it.
why
That's
I
how I
don't
feel.
let you talk all the time. I forget what I was going to say.
Because I say things that are so good, you don't remember what you were gonna say.
It blows my thing out of my mind. I'm like, oh, well, that's no good now. I'm going to throw that away. Oh, no. I forgot what it was.
What were
Well,
we talking
All
about
I'm
before?
saying is that if
Shayne was
this
in the
does
middle.
go through, like I have Cox. I mean, I don't want to have Cox, but they better like get their stuff together and change some things now that they have the ability to do so. That's all I'm saying.
well.
Like my internet should not
See,
go out
I
at least 2
hate the
times a
big
day
ISP companies
because
as
you
much as
wanna be-
anybody.
I'm annoyed.
They suck. They really do.
That sounds so fake, Luke.
they suck, right?
They suck.
Am,
They really do.
They suck.
am I right? They are so bad.
Hello, fellow
Am I
youngsters.
right?
Hello, how you do, fellow kids? No, but they do. I've had really bad experiences with Time Warner and with. Wait, we're just gonna blow their names up on my podcast. Like Time Warner and
Do it.
Cox and Charter, like
dropping.
all the ones I've had issues with.
Like,
I hate Cox.
like-
I've never had a good experience with Cox.
Thank you, right? No.
I never
Hey,
had problems.
That picture
I don't
you
know
just
why.
I
sent
had a 3-hour
of
conversation
Ajit Pai
with a
had
guy.
Cox.
I had a 3-hour conversation with a guy who was just trying to. I was just trying to like reset the Wi-Fi and it just was not working. And this dude could not figure it out. He was like, "Oh, well, let me just. I'm gonna put you on hold, and I'm just gonna type in some things on my computer, and I'll be back in like 20 minutes." Well, sir, I don't really know what the problem is. You're no help. Like, yeah, I hate all of you. Like,
I do
like
know
why
that,
does my router not work?
we've had some run-ins where they come over to like set things up and they're just jerks. You're like, I'm trying to pay your company money.
They never
And it's stupid too, because they're
at,
always
like,
like,
a good time.
"Hey, do you want to pay for the home phone system, fellow kid?" And it's like, no, I don't use the home phone.
No.
Nobody, that
I
doesn't
ain't your
even
kid.
exist anymore. And they're like,
I
yeah,
ain't
but
your
it's cheaper
kid.
if you get it all. I had one company say, hey, if you get satellite TV with your internet bundle, then it'll actually be cheaper than if you get just the internet. And so I was like,
Yeah.
okay,
bundles.
if I get satellite TV, it will be cheaper. And they're like, yep. So when I look at the bill, it's going to be less than it was before, right? And they're like, yep. And I was like, so that box that I'm going to get for the TV to make this cheaper, does that cost money? Oh, yeah, you got to pay for that. Like, dude, then it's going
like-
to cost me
So-
more money.
Yeah, right.
I was thinking about switching to Cincinnati Bell, the local ISP here. That's not Spectrum, because fuck Spectrum. But so I was looking at it, and my wife's gonna want TV, so I was like, all right. I look at the bundles, and it came out to be okay for 100 megabits and basic cable for like $70. That's not too bad. It's only like 30 more than I pay for just internet. So I was like, okay. And then at the end, it's like, oh, you can't use your own router and modem. You have to use ours, which includes like the fee. I was like, what the fuck? Why? What?
I hate
I don't
that kind of stuff.
understand. Just
It's like if I have one, I don't want to use yours.
I'm not paying $7 a month to watch TV. That's on top of it. That's stupid.
That's so stupid.
You can
See-
mimic their.
That's
Router.
the kind of stuff that like I want to get fixed. Where I could have another company show up and go,
Yeah.
well, we don't charge you for the router. You can use whatever you want. Because you're like, I'm going with those guys. You know?
Mm.
But I just don't know how you can set that up given the way things are constructed right now. That's kind of where my issue is
Yeah.
on all this.
Mm.
That will never not be an issue. I'm just saying that now.
If they
Yeah.
can't do
That's
it
just
now,
how
they
life
might be able
it
to do it then.
if it was all wireless or something, then like if it wasn't through cables.
What was all wire?
So, for example, let's say that starting an ISP company is not that much work. That's kind of the hypothetical situation I'm coming up with. If it was all wireless, you wouldn't have to be paying a ton of
what
money
is the
to
wireless
build.
part? I'm confused.
You know how they like building cables underground and all that stuff for the internet?
Like
Oh,
if they
that-
could beam
that'll
it
never-
from like the whole
that's,
world.
That's so far into the future, Luke.
Yeah.
You didn't give me a timeline though.
Oh.
In
I just
100
said in
years,
the
guys,
future.
it's gonna start being
in
okay.
the now, Luke.
In 100,000 years.
It
I
might be
feel like
fun.
there'll be even more ridiculous surcharges in the future if everything is wireless.
Oh, no.
Like there's no cables.
No. The internet. It's only
being
going.
planted
There's no
underground.
way the price of the internet's going up over time, because they're going to give us. It might get more expensive, but they're going to give you more. That's the way it kind of works.
The only way that it'll go down is if more competitors like Google come out with awesome.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if we can get people competing more, and if it's cheaper to build, it'll be cheaper to compete, and more people will do it. The problem is it's super expensive right now. It'd be like competing with Disney.
No, wireless will be more expensive. I don't think wireless will ever be.
No, you wouldn't have to tear up a highway and build cables.
Yeah, but think of how many repeaters you gotta do, and think of how many access points. It's just there's too many users.
What if it was super wireless? Like in the future when we have super wireless.
Super wireless.
I'm
When we
just
have
saying, like,
space
no,
internet, guys, it'll work.
I mean,
right now the reason starting an ISP is so expensive is because of the scale of what you're building. You have to. It's like building a highway. You can't just build a highway very easily.
I mean, if we're just gonna go with future tech, I mean, we're gonna get quantum computers at some point, and then none of this shit is gonna matter that much.
We'll just get.
I ain't gonna be around.
That's true. That's true. Robot bodies for everyone.
I hope
that's
so.
true.
I'm holding out.
Me
True.
too. We're young enough. We can do it. We can make it.
We can
So
make
if
it.
we,
Just
if we can
make,
live, if we can live
trailer
long
for-
enough to become a robot.
just make
Make
your
your
actual
own-
body as healthy as possible, so you can live until robot
that's
bodies
true.
happen.
Oh fuck! I need to start working out. I guess.
Eat your vegetables.
Basically.
Work out. See, get the
you don't
muscles.
need- you don't
Brent, you just
need-
talked about
well,
this
The
today.
muscles.
Get swole.
You need to do minimal workouts, but you need to eat proper foods. People sleep on
Ah.
eating correctly.
Maybe I
People
should
eat.
just
Yeah,
die.
you
It's
wouldn't put
better
bad fuel in your
That's what it's all
car.
about.
You put bad fuel in your body every day.
Maybe I should just die.
with these fucking Oreos, man. I don't know.
I mean, that's
Dude,
that's
getting
the
fat
easy-
is
I
fun,
mean,
though.
Oh, don't
Here's-
get me
here's the
wrong.
thing.
I
True.
still eat.
There
I still
is-
eat my Oreos. They don't
There
play
is like,
games.
I think
Oreos are my
like,
love language.
There's like 40, 30 grams of sugar in a can of Coke, and
Not for
the
me,
daily,
baby. Coke
the-
Zero.
Okay, well, normal Coke.
Then
Non-chemical
you get
Coke.
poisoned though by
In
super
non,
deluxe.
in non,
Soda.
in,
Coke Zero sugar.
in non-chemical Coke, there is.
You mean other chemical Coke? Coke?
Okay.
Coke?
Chemical Coke.
All right, let me finish this. Let me finish what I'm saying.
All right, Aji.
It's like there's like 40 grams of sugar in one Coca-Cola, and that's like literally the daily amount of sugar people are supposed to get.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
like
it just
per,
puts it
per
in
meal,
perspective
it's like
of
7
how much
grams
sugar.
per meal is okay.
I know.
You can
I
eat
know.
as much
It's
sugar
insane.
as you want
If you want to die.
drink
Don't care about diabetes.
water and you just
Diabetes.
work it out.
Well, the thing is, like,
Wait,
it's
what?
the quality of the
You
food
don't
you put
need your
in you.
feet anymore. It's fine.
I
can't
feel
even eat
good,
that
and
much- you can't even
I
eat
eat
tons of
whatever
fruit.
I want. No, I eat whatever I want, and I feel good, and I look good. So screw all of those diet habits and charts, because it's all BS.
Shane,
It
I've
is
been meaning to
all
talk to you about
BS.
that. I've been meaning to talk to you about that. You don't actually look that great.
What?
I do.
I
We've been meaning to tell
You're
you.
looking a
I
little
look-
fat there, Shane.
You're looking
I
pretty
look-
terrible.
I look
pretty wrinkly.
I look fantastic. I'm the best I've ever been, and I eat Pop-Tarts at 1 o'clock in the morning, so whatever, and I still got abs, so fight me.
Pop-Tarts.
I can't lie. I ate pizza rolls and macaroni and cheese right before I got on the podcast.
I ate a
whatever I
shitload
want.
of Grater's ice cream yesterday.
Awesome.
Buckeye
ate a
flavor.
whole jar of
Maybe
Nutella.
not
Sugar.
Who needs
that-
the internet when you
maybe
have
not that
food?
far.
Oh, that's true. Let's
Dude,
get
food.
fat.
I feel like as I've gotten older, I have appreciated food more and more. Like the older I get.
I'm
it's
actually
just like-
healthier than I've been in a long time.
Yeah.
I actually
I've
like care about
lost
food
some
less
Yeah,
now, I
same.
think.
Well, I started appreciating food when I had to buy my own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not saying like appreciate food like I get to have food today. I mean like I
Lucas
just
never
enjoy
enjoys it.
I know what you mean.
I
No,
just
no, no, no.
enjoy
I know
eating
what you're
food
saying.
more. Like going to a
Yeah,
restaurant and
I-
getting a good grilled cheese
well.
sandwich or burger or
never
whatever.
mind.
Well,
Pizza.
Going to a restaurant,
I'm
getting a
saying
grilled
I-
cheese.
Yeah,
Go to a
Luke,
restaurant,
what the
get a
heck?
sweet peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Because I literally
Oh,
said the
yeah.
first. I literally said the first thing that came to mind because I had a grilled cheese sandwich.
Well,
But
I'm
someone just
saying
said
I
banana bread.
appreciate
Banana bread is
food.
disgusting.
And
It's
grilled
like
cheese
the
is
oh,
good
Starbucks
what the
anyway.
of
fuck?
food.
Banana bread's amazing.
That
Panera
is
bread is a
all
Starbucks of
teachers
food.
eat.
Oh, you said
Panera.
Panera.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't care. I don't care.
Yeah.
Panera
Banana
Panera's
bread's
good. I like
awesome.
I
Panera.
said banana bread. I was like,
Starbucks
what the
is
fuck?
awesome.
You can get
Oh my
to
God,
Panera.
yeah.
Here's the thing: we're talking about carbs and stuff. You want to get some. If you want to talk about
Wait,
carbs,
Who was talking about carbs?
you go to
Before the
we were talking
podcast earlier
before
today.
the podcast. So like,
Oh,
if
yeah.
you want to
he
get
was.
some
Yeah, yeah, I was
carbs,
like, what?
you get the macaroni and cheese at Panera in a bread bowl with a side
The bread
with a
bowls are
side
so
of a
good.
baguette. It's just like
All right.
bread and
And
bread.
it costs like $50.
bread.
Like $20.
Catered Panera bread
Wait.
a couple weeks ago, and I was like, I gotta get this, but I couldn't do it because it was like 2,000 calories in that thing.
Oh my god.
2,000
insane.
calories.
That's your whole
It's
I
like
really wanted
the,
it though.
the no yeah the bread
my
at
dream to eat it.
Panera
Bread is my fucking
like
weakness.
cement.
I fucking
It's
love bread.
so thick.
Bread is
I
good.
want
and
it.
bread is good for you.
Bread's so fucking
Great.
good.
It
I
is.
love bread so
Grains at the bottom of the food pyramid. That's all.
much. I was at my aunt's house with
The
Lauren.
food pyramid made by the
Gotta have
government, Shane.
Gotta have a good base.
Yeah. Apparently the food
I know.
pyramid's BS now.
I'm a hypocrite because I just said screw all those charts and stuff.
Screw your healthy eating habits. I'm gonna eat my Oreos. But by the way, the food pyramid.
I was
is
at my
legit.
aunt's
But
house,
by the way, the food pyramid though.
and she put out a bunch of bread, and like I had
Oh,
eaten
no.
most of it, and it's just like everyone was
Oh.
like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "I can't stop. I need help."
It's true. That's why they give bread at like restaurants, like like the Olive Garden breadsticks and the Texas Roadhouse, like the rolls. That's why, because it's just
It's weird though because like
Doesn't that just make you full?
it's so
And then
good.
you don't buy food.
the
No, I
pyramid.
valued it.
You know
I do
the
anyways.
the pyramid the government pyramid thing for food.
yeah.
Apparently that's like almost the exact opposite. Like you're supposed to have as little bread as possible.
So we need
and
the
a lot
most
of,
sugar.
You should have
And
as
the least
much
bread.
sugar.
Oh wait,
I
what
mean,
was
I
sugar?
think it really
Is sugar at the
depends on what
top?
you're trying to
No,
go
sugar-
for.
Sugar
well-
goes at the top. But now
Oh,
it's
sorry,
like
so-
pizza slices. The one you're talking about now is like a triangle, and then like it's like slivers from left to right.
Sure.
As long as you
No,
eat
I don't
fruits and
remember. Changes,
veggies.
man.
Basically, if you well, I
That's
said
all that
almost. I said
matters.
almost the opposite. It's like you should be eating a lot of, like vegetables and stuff like that, and then a lot of protein and fats.
Protein,
Like,
baby.
everyone thought
A lot
fats
of
was like
whole
not good.
food.
Fats are actually pretty good for
You
you.
need to eat
Fats are
like, a lot
amazing.
of whole
They are.
foods that are good for you. That are
You wouldn't put bad
fresh,
fuel in your car.
unprocessed.
Put bad fuel in your
Don't
body.
eat canned
People-
food.
I do
someone-
put bad
the
fuel in
way
my
you
car.
said Whole Foods, it's like someone's like, "Is that whole bread, and it's like it's a whole slice.
It's a whole piece of bread.
Slice of bread.
Holes are
Are you
healthy.
eating Whole
don't
Foods?
wanna
Yeah, man. I'm eating the
You know,
whole
you want to
pizza.
limit
whole
yourself. Wait,
food.
I'm trying to give healthy eating tips. You want to limit your canned and frozen fruits and vegetables. You want to try and eat as much fresh stuff as possible
I
because that's
hate that,
how you're
though.
going to get the most. But that's the best way to do it, Luke. You
I
have
know,
to
but
how you
it's
get
always
out.
like
I
the
would
rather die.
better way is always the annoying
Brent.
way. Like
is.
if you want to eat better, it's like, oh yeah,
I know,
you
like
shouldn't
waking
grind.
Does
up
fried
and
chicken
going
count
to
as
the-
fresh?
We need food neutrality, and then we can eat whatever
Do you
we
know
want.
we do? Do you know how hard it was for me to change my habit of like just staying in bed until like the second I have to go to work, and then to getting up every day and like going to the gym in the morning? That was like the toughest decision of my life.
But it was a good decision.
Does
It
fried
was.
chicken count as fresh food?
Not getting that macaroni in a
if you
bread
get it
bowl
from
is the toughest
Farm
decision
Fresh.
of my life.
If you get it from Farm Fresh, Brent. It
Dude,
is.
We don't
the
have
other
farm
day-
fresh.
My roommate and I were eating
You
pizza.
don't?
No.
Okay.
Oh
this is
wow.
It's local. Farm
But
Fresh is local.
what's your Farm Fresh equivalent?
We have Kroger.
Kroger's
We
good too.
have,
That's good.
We have Meyer.
Do you have Harris
Oh,
Teeter?
Meyer.
No.
I think Harris Teeter's local as well.
No, I think Harris Teeter's
Kroger's
in
pretty
California.
good. I like Kroger.
Is it?
I think it is. Yeah.
No kidding.
Hey, Google
Um,
guy, Michael, look up where Harris Teeter is.
We got a
Guy
bunch
in the
of
chair.
stuff. But
See if there's
we
some in
got, we got some
California.
Canadian shit up here too.
Don't trust Canadians. No, I'm just kidding.
Harris Teeter's, an
They're
American
too
supermarket
friendly.
chain based in
Something
Matthews,
to learn
North
about
Carolina,
them.
just outside Charlotte.
Did you want some updates?
What about on the
Brexit?
west? Hold up. What about on the West Coast? Is there any Harris Teeter on the West Coast?
Clickety clack, clack, clack.
The typing in the
Brexit's
background.
trying to do
No.
trade trails, right?
He's in the
So much-
database.
I
Hack
hacked to the
Hack it,
mainframe.
Michael. Hack the net
Brexit-
neutrality.
Brexit's trying to do trade deals with the
Whoa.
EU
Yes.
now, right?
Yeah. Yes.
I don't think there is one on the West Coast.
Oh, really? Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah, you're full of shit, Luke. Congratulations.
All right, I'm gonna fact check you, Michael.
I'm looking again. I'm still looking. I think it's still.
I'm gonna fact check you, motherfucker.
But yes.
Yeah, nope. It's just East Coast.
Store
Brexit is.
locator.
D.C., Delaware, Florida, Georgia, Maryland, North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia.
Oh man, well,
Oh wow.
all right.
Um.
That's too bad.
So.
Suck it, West Coast. East Coast,
Yeah.
East Coast.
That's right.
East Coast, Beast
So,
Coast. Throw it up
The
one time.
the
The closest one to me is in North Carolina,
goddamn
and it's 2,000 miles away.
How is North Carolina closer to you than like Delaware and Maryland
Yeah, I think
and
it is.
Virginia and everything else that's north?
What?
Because North Carolina protrudes
No,
more
because
to
it's in
the
Asheville.
west.
It's Asheville, like all the way west.
Oh.
So like sticks out.
Yeah.
My sister lives there.
Okay.
In Asheville?
So
Yeah.
you were gonna talk
That's
about
so random. Wow.
you were gonna talk about Brexit,
Yeah.
Brent. So
They
what is going?
have-
So basically, to give some context, what happened? They voted to leave
So
the EU.
in
Because
a, in
I
a
keep
weird
hearing
mirror
breakfast.
of the United States, the farmers decided that they didn't want to be in the filthy European Union no more, and then the rest of the
mean,
country
makes
was like,
sense.
I think we should.
I'm sure that's exactly all the details that were involved with that, Brent.
Actually, it was a ring around London that voted to leave, and that is mostly farmers. The Northern Ireland, Scotland, and London, and other parts of England all voted to remain. It was the majority. Was
Wait,
in
I'm sorry.
the-
Wait a minute.
I know,
Can
but
ask a
you
question?
know when you're
Sure.
saying farmers, you know you're saying it in a derogatory way.
Wait,
I am, but
You
it is
literally mean
countryside.
stupid
It is
people.
countryside. There
That's
were
what you
no
mean.
major cities that voted to leave.
Disclaimer:
well, Wales
farmers
cities
are not stupid.
never-
They're important.
cities-
They feed us, and they're awesome.
That's right. Let's get rid of
Wait,
all the
I-
farmers,
Wales,
and then we all
Wales
die.
voted
I
to
have an
leave, but
honest
Wales does whatever
question.
England does.
Wales can't vote.
I
They're in the
really-
ocean.
wait. No, wait, please. Can I
Go
ask my
ahead.
question?
All right,
Sure.
Shayne, go ahead.
Because I'm so sorry. I'm going to sound so stupid asking this question.
It's okay.
But,
You already do.
Jesus.
Is it London like... I just assumed it was too cold to have farmers there. Like, how do you farm?
No,
Is it-
the city of London
it
has its own, a big enough. The city of London and Greater London had its own like. It's broken up into like basically counties. I don't think they call it that, but
Yeah,
London's
not that cold. It gets cold, but it's
Oh,
not
yeah.
like
okay.
it's not like
but
super cold.
the
Bro, like
I never heard
Canada
anyone
has
talk about
farms.
it being warm.
But-
Look up the year-long weather for London, Michael.
Okay, this is a lot of work.
But anyway,
You signed
so
up for the
I think
job.
that's really helpful, though.
I didn't take. That's why I didn't take it. And I was like, oh,
they-
not me.
they voted to leave, and now most people, after they learned what it was, a lot of people didn't know what it was. And they voted, so sure,
So,
we can fucking leave, sure.
The
And then-
farmers decided to leave the country, or just the
no,
farms?
to leave the European Union.
Oh wow.
Oh.
So London,
That's what
London's
this is
pretty mild. The
What's
hottest
it-
July
okay.
is the hottest month with an average temperature of 66 degrees Fahrenheit, and the coldest is January at 41 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah, see, that's
It's
not,
it's
that's not
pretty
that cool.
mild.
Yeah.
It's kind of
I
like
that's
that's
pretty
kind of like
okay.
Seattle, actually. That's a lot like Seattle, because Seattle doesn't get that hot, but doesn't get that cold either.
Sounds awesome.
then it
Actually, no, it
rains.
doesn't sound
Here,
awesome. I like it.
here's the
Like
chart. Oh,
70s.
yeah, someone already did
I
it.
want to go to Seattle.
But here's another chart. It's kind of less broken up.
Sorry.
But it's basically England and Wales decided for everybody else, other than London. Hey, we're gonna leave. And after the vote happened, the majority
And
of
then-
people
and then
said,
I
"Hey,
love
I
it.
don't
I'm
think we
sorry.
should do this."
Then Northern Ireland's just
So
sitting there.
what does this have to do with, like, why is it farmers? Like, is it?
That
Or Ireland,
it was
Ireland's
mostly it was mostly countryside. Most of that red is not well. Okay, there's like
Gotcha.
Manchester and there's big cities in that, but it was the
Manchester.
biggest vote of to leave was in the countryside. It was not it was not city people.
Well,
Well, Manchester
is the
Orchestra.
countryside the one that's most affected by being in the EU?
See that part I'm not. So not being
I don't know.
European,
They're
I don't
probably just fed
know
up.
the full. I read the pros and cons to both sides, but as someone who is not living there and has
Right.
not lived there, I could not tell you with
It's fine. You're just
Full
your job.
facts.
It's fine.
Well, I stand with the farmers because crops.
Well, either way, okay. So it doesn't matter now; they have to leave. They have to leave by March 31st, 2019.
Oh, they only got a year and a half.
Time's running
Not
out.
even a year and a half, man.
So they're working. Basically, what's happening right now is Theresa May wants to be in the European Union without paying fees. She's basically talking with the president of the European Union, which I believe is the president of Germany. She's basically like, hey, so we want to have all the same rules and levies on trade deals and shit, but we don't want to pay the fees. And the European Union's like, no, that's not how this fucking works. So you should have stayed if you wanted those deals. So they're basically trying to figure out how to what they can do between the European Union and the United Kingdom. Free travel will not happen anymore. Once it happens, they have to be like Americans. They have to have their passport, and they won't be part of the Schengen zone anymore.
That's really sad, actually, though.
I don't know if it affects Eurovision. I doubt it, but maybe they can't do Eurovision
So the
anymore.
UK to the EU is becoming Canada to the United States.
If you want to say it that way, sure.
I'm just thinking, like, it's right there, but it's like you can't just go to Canada.
Yes, basically, sure. The only thing so far, it seems like they're not going to do a hard border for Northern Ireland. So it looks like Northern Ireland will have free access to Ireland still, and back and forth. They don't have to have. There won't be checks for passport every time.
Yeah, no,
it seems like it's going in that direction.
I'm
which is
looking at
pretty
this
good.
map. I'm gonna display my ignorance for a second here because I can't remember.
Sure.
You've got England over here, which is real red. Then you've got
England is red, and Wales is part of that too.
yes.
Wales is the bottom left. Bottom left.
And this is
right,
Northern
left.
Ireland. This little area, this little patch.
Northern
up here.
Ireland is the like little humpy looking thing with a giant white hole where a lake is. It's the tiniest thing. That's Northern Ireland.
Right, that little spot on Ireland.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then the big blue thing at the top, that's Scotland.
Yeah.
With all the little
Scotland.
islands and
I
stuff.
just got to remember my geography.
Describe to the listeners what you're
and-
looking at.
And so,
And that tiny blue area in the bottom right, that is Greater London and London.
actually, yeah, that's kind of funny. So, guys, just FYI, there is a city in London, and it's called the City of London, and it's
Yeah.
not a city in London.
It's
love
the
it.
it's
I
the
wanna go
main it's the I believe that's where
It's
Scotland
so
Yard is.
weird.
Where do you live? I live in the city of London.
The way that's broken
But
up is very
I
confusing.
thought
It
that
took me a long time to understand.
Yeah, it's
England
literally-
is my
That's
city.
why we started in
Oh,
America.
Shut up, John.
Because they're dumb.
The way
It's
way
like-
they divide like counties
gosh.
and cities and shit, it's tough, man. Like it took a long
yeah,
time.
the UK is confusing. It
But,
really
you know,
I
is.
think the world is confusing.
Anyway, so I've been reading about that every so often, just keeping up on.
So what's
how that's
happening
going.
now? Are they still? They're trying to
Right now, they're
leave.
part of the European Union. They're still in it right now.
What if
so.
they don't like pack their bags fast enough? Like it just just kind of
On
creeps
the
up
March
on 'em.
31st, 2019, if they don't work out any deals,
I
too
mean,
fucking bad. They're gone.
If you can't pack your bags in that amount of time,
Wait,
Right,
so
so
they
far,
just
it-
get ejected.
Yep.
I'm
like
judging
the
you.
button in the James Bond
So
vehicle.
far,
just,
they're fucking up pretty bad. Theresa May is not working out a lot of deals. It seems like the
You
Northern
know what,
Ireland thing is the
Theresa
only
May,
thing.
if you want to make some deals, you know what you got to do.
So why are they trying to? What's this deal? What are they trying to do before
They're
they
trying
leave?
to work out.
I'm just
So
kidding.
being in the European Union, you get trade deals. So you get levies on trading between countries, like exports, imports. You get cheaper deals on that shit. There's a share of commerce, people.
So they're trying to get like the
workmanship.
best deal they can with the EU before they leave.
Yes, they're trying to say, okay, what can we have deals with the rest of the European Union without paying the EU fees and stuff every year?
And the EU is like nothing.
They're fine with working that out, but Theresa May's like, we want this, and they're like, no, that's just being in the European Union. That's not how this is gonna work. And they're like,
Right.
no, this is how it's gonna fucking work. And it's like, no, you fucking are leaving. It's not. You can't just be a part of the group and not pay.
I have
It's,
no political stance on
oh
this
my
because
God.
I don't know about it, but
Wait
it's
a
kind of
minute.
like it's kind of funny.
It's
It's like
basically what's
it's like a kid being like, "I'm gonna leave," and then they start to leave, and then they're like, "But I want to have this too," and the parents are like, "No, you can't have that. You're leaving." Oh, but
I mean, there's a lot to it. Like,
I know because that's not my stance at all. It's just funny to me.
But yeah, so the Northern Ireland thing is what I care about the most, because that open border is awesome. So hopefully, because if they close that border, it might cause more problems in Ireland again. Because the whole point of that shit was because of the Troubles and stuff. They're killing each other over that. I'm British. I'm Irish. I'm not the other.
I'm not
Scotland
the
is pretty pissed. As soon as the vote was cast, they were like, "Hey, we don't want to be part of the UK anymore." And Theresa May's like, "No, we can't do this right now. We have to stick together." And Scotland's like, "I don't fucking want to stick together."
That'd be so weird. It's just like this little
Scotland-
spot on the.
Scotland might try and vote again to leave.
Oh man.
So I mean, shit is fucking nuts when it comes
no
to this
kidding.
Brexit thing right now. So we'll see how that goes. I mean, they have plenty of time to work out stuff, so who knows? But
So
it's,
is it? So I can't say Europe when I talk about the UK.
no,
Did
it's
I
still
say
part
that?
of Europe. It's just not in the European
well,
Union.
duh. Oh yeah, you're. Duh, it's
Come
a
on, Luke.
continent.
Duel.
Dummy.
Yeah.
Like, so it's not America
Yeah.
because
It's okay.
Shut
it's
up,
on the West
Luke.
Coast. They don't have Harris Teeter there.
It'd be like if if California,
Uncultured
it'd be like if
swine.
California left the U.S. It's like, oh, you're not America anymore.
doesn't
They're still
Doesn't-
America, dude.
get doesn't a lot of the money that the UK gets from the EU go to Scotland?
That's what.
That's not my
Actually,
question.
Scotland has a lot of the oil, so they
I just
actually
realized
provide a
he's
lot of the
been-
commerce.
Listening the whole time.
Scotland generates a lot of money because of the oil and stuff they have there. That's the main reason the UK doesn't want them to leave, because they offer a lot of stuff back to the Great Britain and Northern Ireland. So they definitely don't want them to leave. And it's going to be tough if Scotland or Northern Ireland or Wales leaves, because they're very tiny countries and they've been relying on each other for so long now that even if they would migrate probably to the euro, but it would be pretty tough at first.
So which one doesn't use the pound? I forget.
Everyone else,
No, I mean
Everyone.
England uses the pound.
yes,
Scotland uses the pound,
yes.
and then
Wales
Northern
and Northern
Ireland,
Ireland use the pound.
and then but Ireland doesn't.
No, Ireland's its own nation. They don't. They use the euro.
Right. I knew something over there didn't use the euro. and I couldn't remember
Ireland
which
used
one.
to have
Or
the Irish
one of them
pound
used the euro.
before the Euro initiative. That was what their money was when they split off from the UK. So they had the Irish pound, but now it's the euro. Only
Okay.
2 countries in the European Union don't use the euro. I can't remember what they are.
So
Other than UK.
how can we end this podcast in a way that's not just like we're done because we've hit our
One
time
of-
limit, so I want to wrap
One
it up.
of one of
we're
my some kids were talking about, I guess, England or something today, and this kid was trying to do like an British accent, and he was like, "Good day, mate," and I was like, "That's Australian," and I was like,
Nailed it.
"Wow." I was like, "You're so good, kid."
Yeah,
ever
really,
just
it's
say-
only on the opposite side of the world.
You know, if you just say
Yeah, I
my
was like-
cocaine, you're saying Michael. You know, if you say my cocaine, you're saying Michael Caine and Michael Caine's accent.
That's right.
Hello, I'm Mike O'Kane.
Michael.
Okay.
All right.
Michael Caine.
Speaking of cocaine, let's do plugs.
Oh. We were doing
Michael.
cocaine. I was like, all right, I'll get the line ready. Like, my
Shayne's
nose
like,
is a
all
little
right, let's.
stuffed up.
Shayne's
My
like,
nose is a
let's
little
do
stuffed
this.
up, but
Oh,
I'm
the
pretty sure I
plugs.
can still hit it pretty good. I mean, whatever. Just kidding.
Doing some
I don't do
rails.
cocaine. I don't
It'd be
do
funny.
cocaine.
It's so that's so funny though, because it's like,
Wait,
all right,
Did I tell
Shayne's
you?
like,
Did I tell you
let's
guys
go,
my story?
guys.
Wait, okay. This is
The
gonna
one
sound really
about doing
bad.
cocaine?
what is
Yeah.
what is
About
going
like
on?
the movie that I watched. Did I tell that
Yeah.
story?
What is going on?
I just
heard
played
a lot
the
of
riff
noise.
cocaine.
He was playing
Yes.
something. Did I tell
It
you
was the riff
story
from cocaine.
Cocaine.
Brent
I
and
About,
get
tell the
it.
story about my
Thank you, Brent and
cocaine
John.
like experience, kind of like for like 2 seconds.
All
You
right,
wanna
Shane,
talk
tell me
about-
tell me about,
okay,
tell me about
go
your
ahead.
cocaine.
All right,
Well, I don't know if I've already said it. If I've already said the story, like just
What is
you
this?
haven't.
I don't
Tell me
remember.
stuff.
So go ahead.
Okay. So I was watching this movie on Netflix. It's called Just Charlie or Being Charlie. It's really good. I highly recommend it. But these two guys, they're two best friends. They were doing like cocaine in one of the guys' like apartments or whatever. And you know, they were having like a good time laughing, talking. And I was like, you know what? I sat back for a second. I was like, you know what? It doesn't seem that bad.
Oh, you did tell this story.
It looks
I
awesome.
did say it before.
I don't remember the story.
Yeah, I remember
Okay,
it.
well, it's really fast, but I was like, wow, you know what? That doesn't seem that bad. I feel like I could probably do that. They seem like they're having a good time. They seem like they're enjoying each other. You know what? Maybe I'll give it a try. I always say, you know what? I'll try everything at least once. Very next scene, the guy is dead on the floor, foaming at the mouth, and I'm like, never mind.
That was pretty cool. And then they died.
Like, nope, just kidding. I'm sorry.
Never mind.
Why that thought crossed my mind, I have no idea.
Okay,
But,
so plugs for real this time. Michael, go.
Yeah, so speaking of cocaine, I played guitar for this album a few months ago called Key Centric. It's coming out soon. Check it out. I'll post something about it on my Instagram right now, I guess. Go check out my Instagram. It's Michael Dimas, MykolDimas. Check it out. It's going to be sweet. And I got more music coming in the future, so just be on the lookout.
Word.
What?
Nothing you said had anything to do with cocaine.
The music is like cocaine
Okay.
because it's so
All
good,
right.
and then you
Fair
die.
enough. Okay.
What?
Brent, anything?
Oh, gosh.
No, I've been working on my wallpaper thing. So eventually, someday, maybe.
John, what about you?
Nope.
Shayne,
Awesome.
what about you?
Yeah, so, you know, you guys can check out the podcast that I host called the Pop Talk Podcast. It's pretty lit over there. We're having a great time. We just talked about,
that quick.
actually, our next episode, which will probably come out around the same time this episode comes. That's not true, but it's coming soon. And we just talked about, we did a flashback episode to 2007, which is personally my favorite year of like pop music, so that was like pretty cool to do. But we also have a Christmas episode coming next week, which we're also going to be talking about the new Eminem album, which drops in 2 hours from the recording of this podcast. And then we're going to have like a best and worst of the year episode to sort of like conclude the year. And then, you know, just cool big things happening for next year. So you can follow that at Pop Talk Podcast on SoundCloud. And then our Twitter is at Talkin' Pop. And then my Twitter, where you can follow me, is at Mr. McCatty, MrMCCHETY. Bam.
Boom. Okay. Guys, you can follow me on Instagram at Luke Roxwold. You can follow me on Twitter by the same name. Is that what it's called, the name? I don't know. At Luke Roxwold,
It's called a handle.
I didn't want to say that word when I thought it. ROCKSWOLD is how you spell my last name. You can check out my YouTube channel, Luke Roxwold Vlogs. I've been making a lot of videos lately. The last two Friendsgiving episodes have gotten a lot of attention, and
They're
everyone
pretty
has
good.
really, really been liking them. And we are dropping... this is the first time I've ever done this. I'm going to be releasing 2 episodes in 2 days. Because, you
Like
know,
back-to-back days.
Awesome.
The second, so I did the travel day for Friendsgiving, the first day for Friendsgiving, and now I'm on the second day, and I filmed so much on the second day, and the second half of the second day is so funny that I wanted to pull it out and make it its own episode so that people would watch the whole thing. Like they wouldn't get sucked into like the slower part and then not watch to the end. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to make this into 2 like 9-minute vlogs because it's that much footage. So there is an episode coming out on Saturday at 6 p.m. Eastern time. And then right after that, we're going to release an episode at 6 on Sunday the next day. So it's going to be like a Friendsgiving weekend. Cool. Yeah. So also, I'm coming back to Virginia. So we're going to do our best to set up this live episode, which what is going on in the group thing? I still don't know what you guys are trying to say.
I think Shayne thinks Christmas is next week.
Okay. No. This is what let me explain because I'm so frustrated because it was not even that big of a deal. So I said, because Michael and John were like, oh, I can't podcast next week. And I'm like, lol, no one can podcast the week Luke comes to town. That wasn't saying Luke is coming to town, like, and we're going to podcast, like a live podcast then. That was just saying, oh, the week Luke comes to town, no one can podcast. It was just, they were 2 separate things. I just shoved them in the same sentence. You know what? I'll take the heat. I'll take the L, whatever. That was my fault. I should have, separated my thoughts.
How dare you?
Anyways, whatever.
You really fucked up that one.
Whatever. The point is,
guys.
Luke is coming to Virginia. We're going to see him at some point and do a live podcast, not next week, but maybe the week following. Whatever.
Yes. So thank you for listening, everybody. Please check out everybody's plugs and support us. If you have the time, listen to some of our other episodes because they are fun and you'll probably enjoy them. If you got this far, awesome. This is a long podcast,
Hit
but a lot
that
of fun.
follow button.
So thanks everybody for being on the
And
podcast.
together we can save the internet.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes.
Thanks, guys.
I'm raising my fist right now.
And
Nice.
Outro music.
Outro music!